Hello, everybody. This is Therapy Thursdays in Chrissy's kitchen. Cheers. Boston just took me for a run around the block. I regret not taking him for the walk I promised him because he decided he was going to take himself for a walk. So anyways, that was fun. So today I'm making cottage pie. We always called it shepherd's pie in our family, but in reality it's cottage pie because it's made with ground beef. So I put garlic and onions almost in everything, and I'm going to use butter and a little bit of oil, definitely deglazing with some red wine, and I've got already pre-darkened flour here. So that'll bring out a nice nuttiness. And then, ooh, I forgot my beef stock. I always use Better Than Bouillon. This is not an ad. Not yet anyways. Better Than Bouillon. I use you all the time. When I'm a big deal, remember that about me. And I'm using my Le Creuset for the beef, and I've already got the potatoes starting to boil. But not only are we here for recipes, we are also here to have a little chit chat. And so a lot of you actually have written to me, not through my email that I set up, and I do need to promote that a little bit more, but you've written to me personally to tell me things that you've been going through. And so I've got a lot of interesting topics to talk about, but I thought I would open up the whole shebang by talking about myself. So I never really had a big problem with weight when I was younger. I had, you know, the stereotypical girl thinks she's big and she isn't situation going on, which, I mean, a lot of my friends were quite thin. Not everybody, but a lot of them were. And I felt like, I don't know, I was always comparing myself to other girls. Now, as a grown woman, I realize that that is not what we do to each other. We should not compare ourselves to one another, but compare ourselves to our own selves yesterday. So moving forward, I would say that I've certainly learned a lot in that regard, but let's just start from the beginning. So when I was younger, I had, well, this comes up twice now. So I had a controlling boyfriend, and it sounds so silly, but anybody who's been in a bad situation would understand where I'm coming from. He would tell me that I shouldn't eat my lunch and parts of my lunch because I was large, which was totally untrue. Totally untrue. But that's what he said. And I guess I believed him because, I mean, looking at supermodels and that sort of thing, I certainly didn't look like that. So, moving forward, that was probably one of my first bad experiences with in relation to a relationship and food. So, fast forward to my early 20s, I've met another charming individual who also, interestingly enough, controlled food, but sort of in a different way. It wasn't like, don't eat, and oh, okay, let's go back. So then I went on an anti-obesity medication when I was 155 pounds. Yeah, and that was before I was 20. So this started a very unhealthy relationship with myself and wanting to be thin. And I mean, I guess it felt like something I could control. So then fast forward to my second charming experience where he also controlled food. Like, he would take me to McDonald's and then say that if I didn't eat it, he would throw it out the window, that sort of thing. So yeah, I gained about 100 pounds in a year when I was in my early 20s. And then after we broke up, I started losing weight, and I started to feel pretty good about myself. So I went up to 230, 240 pounds, I guess. And I really wasn't feeling great. But so I started to lose weight. I think I was pretty much smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee, which is not great. And then I went through a little bit of a depression, and it's like, I would tell myself, okay, the answers are not in the refrigerator. Fast forward, I sort of sat in and around 200 pounds for a while. And then I got down to 170 again, and then back up to 200. And then I moved out west, and then I joined Weight Watchers, and I went back down to the 170s again. And I was really starting to feel good. I think it was like 178 or something like that. And I then went all the way back up to 240 pounds. But I mean, let me tell you, when I was in the 180s in my mid 20s, geez, I had a lot of confidence. Wow. I was almost cocky. I mean, I guess I still am, but I wasn't as hard on myself as I am right now. And I think that's because I lost the weight when it was looking really bleak. And then I got all the way down to where I wanted to be. I was feeling fantastic about myself. Now I've gone back up again, but let's go back. So back to, I'm out west. I'm back up into the 200s, 230. I probably go back 240, go back down to about 220, 215. Tyler and I get engaged, and then I start to, don't test your pans like this at home, by the way. Then I started to, then I got pregnant. So it's like, I moved, I came home, I got pregnant. And so of course I didn't want to gain weight, and my doctor was actually really good. I mean, I was very healthy, went for blood work all the time, but with denim, I ended up being, I think, about 240, 250 pounds when I was pregnant. So when you think about how much weight I gained, it wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst either. So then I started to lose weight, and I went on a shake type program, and I was starting to see results. I was going to boot camp. I was forcing myself to sprint every morning. Don't do that either. I blew out my knees doing that. And it was a way of punishing myself. Yeah. So then I'm starting to lose weight. I'm down to about 200 and probably 215 again. And then I get pregnant with Killian. So, and then I go all the way up to 275 pounds. Now, something that really irritates me is when people tell me that, oh, it's because you had kids. Well, no, it wasn't. I just told you I was already at around 240, 250 before. And then they say, oh, you know, after you have kids, it'll all just go away when you're breastfeeding. No, it didn't. And then you hear, oh, you're not that big. Now, that was meant in the best way possible. I know it was. But it's untrue. I was quite large, and I know people are just trying to be kind, and that's fantastic. But it doesn't help me, because I couldn't see myself where I really was either. And then if people are telling me that they don't see me as that large, well, then I'm starting to think it's like some great big conspiracy theory in the clothes sizes. Because I guess, you know, they say when your weight goes down, you have a hard time catching up. Well, for me, when my weight went up, my brain had a really hard time catching up to what I was actually weighing. So, then after Killian was born, and then we bought this house, I was so depressed. I mean, we moved in. Nothing I was doing was working to lose weight. and then we're in the new house, and I was depressed, and Denham had a year before he was going to go to school, and I didn't want to be the reason that Denham was made fun of. Like, I didn't want people to think that I was big and ugly and whatever, and it was really hard too, because I mean, I would go to restaurants and stuff, and people really do watch you when you're overweight. And when I would go to the gym in Calgary, people would watch me, and you just feel so judged. Anyway, so coming back to here, 2015. We bought in 2015. So the winter of 2016, I Google sick of being fat, and this medication comes up called Saxenda, which is it was only about 2 years old, I think, when I came across it. It was pretty new to the market, but it had been used before as Victoza for people with diabetes. So I Google this, and I go to see my doctor, and my doctor was a huge advocate for me in deciding what I wanted to do with my health. So he said to me, well, what if this doesn't work? And I looked at him, and I know it sounds kind of corny, but I literally said, it has to work. It just has to. And then I started the medication, and this is going to sound corny too, but my grandfather passed away. It'll be 11 years ago this July, and on my mom's side, and I was really close to him, and so it was right around his birthday when I started the medication, and I just said a word to him, like, Grandpa, please let this work. Like, I can't go on like this. I would pull my clothing out of the closet and stomp on it. I would have clothes everywhere because I was just mortified with how I looked. It was really traumatic, honestly. So, that said, yeah, and I stopped doing groceries. I would do pickup groceries. I mean, right now it's pandemic or whatever, but I would do pickup groceries. I didn't want to take the kids to the park. I didn't want to wear a bathing suit. I wouldn't take them swimming. I didn't want to take them on walks. I didn't want anybody to see me. Honestly, I didn't want to run into people I knew. And every time I did, I'm sure I was beat red in the face because I always felt like I looked horrible. And then, so I Googled the sick of being fat. I found Saxenda. I asked my grandfather for help, and I started the medication. And I would tell myself, so I started watching My 600-Pound Life. We had an elliptical at the time, and I would go on the elliptical when I started the medication, and I would say, no, 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 no. Like, I'm not going there. I'm not going to be 600 pounds. It's not going to happen to me. And so I would do that. Tyler was working late around this time. So I would be on the elliptical, just going, no, 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 no. No, it's not happening. I'm not doing it. And I would see weight drop every single day. So they also have a support program. So in the support program, they'll call you. They'll call you, I think at first it's like every week, and then it's once a month. And if you continue to want them to call, they will follow up with you. So I found that was a really nice feature. Because then it wasn't just, I didn't feel alone, and I also felt like somebody was going to follow up with me. And they did, just like clockwork, and it was usually the same person. So every day I saw a little bit of change, and that's when you know you're doing something well. It didn't drop by a pound every day. It dropped slowly but consistently. And the first day I started, I had half of an apple, and I was just full. And I was like, wow, okay, so my body is telling me that it's full, and I don't need to eat because it's got reserved fat, right? And so this went on, continued this way. And Then I mean, as the months went on and things started to change, I started to feel really good about myself. I was buying dresses. Like, Tyler lost his mind when I wore a dress. He was like, "What? You don't wear dresses?" I was like, "I know, right?" It was really exciting. It was fantastic. And then encouraging myself was a big thing. I mean, I still had to tell myself, no, you're not going to eat a whole bag of chips tonight. Not that I did that. So that's the other misconception, is that people with obesity are always overeating. Honestly, most of the time we're controlling everything that we're eating, and we have to make big decisions to like throw out a bag of chips, or to not eat junk food, or to not like indulge in, I don't know, like a big order of Chinese food or whatever. Like, it's a constant battle. So I was eating 1,300 calories a day before I found Saxenda, and I was counting all of my calories, and I could not lose weight. So I didn't lose weight until I started Saxenda. And again, that's not a commercial for them either. It really changed my life. And then my relationship with food started to change. So I could have one potato chip, and I was happy with one potato chip. And literally, I was at a party and I had one, and I was like, you know what? It's okay. I have control over this. I've got it. And then within the year, I lost 90 pounds. Then I gained a little bit back, because obesity is not a straight line. I gained some of it back, and I went back into the 160s, I guess. That would have been in 2018, 2019, in and around there. And I had also stopped taking my medication for a little spell. I think that was 2018. I stopped taking my medication because I thought I could do it on my own. And for everybody who can, that's fantastic. But obesity is a lifelong chronic illness. So when you are struggling with obesity, you do not have to do it alone. You just don't. There are going to be so many more opportunities for people. Given that, I mean, Saxenda doesn't work for everybody, Contrave doesn't work for everybody, but find what's right for you and stick to it, and you have to make the change for the rest of your life and stay on top of it. So, it's always so emotional to talk about my weight, because I really am trying. I always eat something different than everybody else in the house, or I eat a lot smaller, or if I eat lunch, I won't eat dinner. You know, I'm cognizant of what I'm doing. And the other thing is I didn't want to change. So I changed a lot about what I did, but I never gave up alcohol. And I never gave up the foods that I loved. I just changed the portions. So I would have half a hamburger instead of the whole hamburger, and then a side of poutine. Or I would have the whole hamburger and then no poutine. Or I would just so when I would eat dinner, I would just have the McDonald's cheeseburger if I was splurging. And those changes on my way down were great. And then I leveled out a little bit. And I don't know how many calories I was eating, to be honest with you, by the time I had lost the weight and I was keeping it off. So now, and this will be a conversation that I can have with you guys every several months, because like I said, the weight is a never-ending journey. Like with somebody who has a broken leg, you don't tell them to walk better. For somebody who has like osteoporosis or whatever, if you tell them to drink more milk, then they're ridiculous. People with asthma, you don't tell them to breathe better. So stop telling people with obesity to move more and eat a couple vegetables, because that's not what it is. So people struggling with obesity need some slack. And I think that fat shaming and all of that is just deplorable. I mean, you want to talk about yourself, fine. Don't let your kids hear you talk like that either. I mean, I really know from my standpoint that it was really not my fault. And I'm not with a big part of the obese population who was obese from childhood. This was a switch that was flicked when I was in my 20s. So I don't know how that works. It's something to do with my genetics. Nobody in my family is particularly large, but just something happened in my line that rendered me with obesity. So now, as I was saying, and as I've been complaining on my stories and stuff, I am trying really hard to watch and I'm not going to give up. So that's the big thing. I can't quit. I can't just say, okay, you know what? That's it. I'm going to buy all the junk food. I'm going to eat it all, like whatever. And that's not to say that I don't treat myself. So don't even worry about that. I certainly do. I'm just saying I'm not giving up on everyday meals all the time. And maybe I am stress eating a little bit, but it's COVID. It's COVID. It's not our fault. And you know what? People who don't suffer with obesity are gaining weight as well. So imagine if you had a predisposition to just gain weight by looking at a French fry. And I know I'm being dramatic, but seriously, you look at a French fry, you're probably going to eat one or two. But so let's imagine that that's something that you have. You look at a French fry and you gain weight. Imagine how amplified that becomes when stress doesn't let you let go of the weight. So we're in a pandemic. We can't let go of the weight. Even people who don't have obesity. So these are all things to think about. And I have to forgive myself too, but I'm not letting myself off the hook. There's a big difference. So I want everybody out there to know that if you are suffering with obesity, I am here to talk to you. There are, of course, other problems that we're not here to talk about today. But suffering from obesity, suffering from weight gain, suffering with depression because of your weight gain, feeling alone because it's COVID, all of these things are there are certain things that have to do with that are out of our control. COVID is, I don't even know who's in control of that anymore. Because this is not a political station, no politics here. But this isn't something that we're used to dealing with. We're not used to being cut off from all of our friends. Even people that I know who are introverts are sort of feeling the pressures of COVID now because it's been a year. It's been a year. And I mean, everybody's dealing with it very differently, and I know that. For me, it's really taken a toll. I can't go out. I can't spend time with friends whenever I want to. There's a limit to how many people you can see. Anyways, not to say that I haven't seen anybody, because I have, but I just haven't been living the life that I'd like to be living. Luckily, I've got my wonderful husband who has been so fantastic during all of this, including my weight gain. He just thinks I'm great. I mean, I am, but he knows it, so that's pretty fantastic. And he's great too. I'll keep him. I love that guy. But we're not here to talk about relationships either right now. So, but my relationship with food is such that I do know that I need to stay on top of it. I do know that I need to, well, I've spoken to several different doctors about it. We're now thinking that my hormones might have something to do with why I'm keeping weight on. So that's another ball that we can unravel someday, another ball of yarn. And you know, with kids and a puppy and Memphipast, and there are always going to be reasons. Just never make excuses for yourself. There are reasons for sure, but don't treat them like an excuse. It doesn't. You forgive yourself, but don't let yourself off the hook. I keep saying that, and I think I need to say it to myself more often. And then find an outlet. So for me, it's cooking and sharing with you. And that's what works for me right now. And I hope to continue doing this. Yeah, so I mean, if you've got any questions about what I've gone through with obesity, please feel free to let me know. Like I said, it hasn't been a straight line, and it never will be, and that's okay. But I am open to discussing anything. I mean, I know how it feels to want to only wear black all the time. I know that feeling. I know how it feels when you're out and you feel like you can't eat what you want to eat because people think that you're eating too much, when in reality, you haven't eaten all day. It's my house. I'm going to taste it if I want to. So be kind to those out there who are suffering with obesity. Don't be judgmental of the people who have lost the weight and who are terrified of putting it back on. That's not kind. And make sure that you check in on your friends who, if they do share that with you, if they share with you that they have an eating issue, or whether it be too much or too little. We've got to check in on all of our friends who have extra things that they suffer from. But today we're just talking about obesity. But that's not to say that people who suffer from anorexia or bulimia or food control issues deserve any less respect. That's for sure. And that's something that I've actually grown to understand as well. I probably wasn't always smart when it came to people that I was probably a little bit jealous of, because they just could eat whatever they wanted and they never gained weight. And I would say stupid things. I'm guilty of saying to somebody to eat a sandwich. And to be honest with you, that was how I knew I made it, was when somebody told me I should eat something. That's how I knew I was finally thin. And now, should we put all of the emphasis on being thin? No, absolutely not. But my mental health is not where it needs to be. So that's how I know that I am not at a healthy weight. I am healthier than I was at 275 pounds, but am I happy where I am? No. And that does weigh a lot on my mind. And because I know that I can do it, and because I know that I have done it, it's more frustrating. I've let myself down. As I mentioned in a post a little while ago, a month and a bit ago, I am definitely hard on myself, and I don't see what you guys see, but I'm not happy where I am. So I need to get back closer to where I was, and I am not at a healthy weight at this point. So I can tell as well, because my feet hurt more, my knee hurts more, my back hurts more. So these are all things that you have to take into consideration. I'm a firm believer that obesity hasn't been taken seriously, and because of that, we are treating the symptoms of obesity rather than obesity itself. That's why I'm really hopeful for the coming years that we will have more medications, more services available, more support available, because it is not easy. So for me to come out and talk about it, hopefully it helps somebody. Hopefully just hearing me ramble on about it helps somebody, because it's not an easy route, not at all. I've said a couple times, that really irritates me. I don't generally do that when I have a back and forth conversation with people, but hey, this is my first video. Well, my second attempt at my first video, because last time I ran out of memory space. But I will get better, I promise. If there's anything I do, is I try to be perfect at a lot of things. Am I perfect at anything? Probably no. No. But I'm darn good at a couple of things. So what do you think? You think I'm doing all right? Not just with this. I mean, do you think it's helpful to people for me to get the word out there about obesity? I know that there are going to be trolls out there, and you know what my secret is? I'm going to tell you what my secret is. I don't care what other people think. I mean, I do. I care about people that I love. I care about what they think. But my commercial that came out a couple of years ago, apparently there are all sorts of comments on there. Guess what? I didn't read one comment. Not one. And that came out 2 years ago? Yeah, I don't care. Because here's the trouble. If you believe everyone who praises you, then you have to believe the negative people. So my outlet explaining things to you and talking it out is a way for me to understand myself a little bit better. Your support is fantastic. If you don't like my video, scroll on, that's fine. If you feel like you need to comment, just remember, I don't care. I don't. Support is great, but I have no more room for hate. I'm hard enough on myself. But yeah, so that's a big thing for me. If you believe everybody who loves you, like, so let's say people are like, oh, you're so beautiful today, but you don't feel beautiful on the inside, what they say doesn't matter. That's what I mean by that. And if you say, oh yeah, oh, you look horrible today, but what if you walked out feeling like you look like $1 million? Don't let somebody's opinion change your day, is sort of what I'm getting at. My apologies if the angle changed a little bit when I was standing here. The whole system tipped over. So I've put this in here, the ground beef. I already mashed the potatoes while you weren't with me. But now, put some butter, just a touch. So, my takeaway from this for you is, look at how many times I was over 200 pounds and I didn't quit. I mean, I could have, but I didn't. I'm proud of myself for not quitting. I'm proud of myself for not giving up. And I'm not giving up this time. And if you're out there and you're struggling, I don't think you should give up either. You deserve to feel happy and confident in your own skin. And nobody should be able to take that away from you. That should be your happiness with yourself. Don't quit. It's not, I know it sounds cliche, but it isn't. Don't quit. Just don't. It's like, it's an actual mantra you have to tell yourself. Don't quit. I used to write little messages to myself on the mirror about being a good mom, even though I certainly didn't feel like it most days. That I was strong, that I could do this. And I did do it. I did do it. And look at, so 6 years ago, 6 years? Holy cow. No, 5 years ago, I started taking the medication. And I have kept myself under 200 pounds, let's just even round up to there, for 5 years. So, am I proud of myself? Yeah, hell yeah, I'm proud of myself. I don't really think that I would do anything differently. I think I would continue to do everything that I did, and because I'm still doing it, and it's proven to work for me over and over again. I just can't quit. I can't give up. I have to believe in myself, and you have to believe in yourself. Whether it's about obesity or just your self-confidence, you just have to believe in yourself too. My love for food, it's hilarious. As my love for food amplifies, the more I feel like I have control over what I'm eating. And I probably have a couple of control issues. But we can, we're not here for PTSD today. We're not here to talk about any of this other stuff, but let's round it off. So I have ADHD, OCD, body dysmorphia, and PTSD, OCD, and ADHD. Ha, that's hilarious. That was not on purpose. Unless I said ADHD already. Whatever. So, anyways, I have all of these things, and I'm perfectly functioning, totally 100% most of the time. But with obesity, with my alopecia, with like all of these things, and all of you have all of these things happening in your own lives too. They're not the same as mine. Maybe some of you have exactly the same things as me, but it's not, your problems aren't worth less than mine or more than mine. We all have problems. And what is the saying? We all have problems, but if we threw them all in a pile, we'd all take our own back. I mean, let's just be easy on each other. Let's be easy on ourselves. Like my post the other day, like, can I still wear a crop top? Yeah, I mean, I'm a little more self-conscious in it, but should I stop wearing my clothes because I'm a little self-conscious? No, because most people don't even see what I see. And yeah, I just think that we need to be more accepting of each other, and maybe this is the perfect time to do it, given that the whole world is experiencing the same crisis in different ways. So it's the same storm, but we're all on different boats. And I said that, I know that became like a thing, but I swear to God, I said that last year before it was even a thing. So I'm not trying to copy anybody, but I do feel that way. We're all in the same storm, but we're all on different boats. So everybody, don't believe the lovers and the haters. Believe in yourself. Believe in what you're capable of, because believing in yourself is so much more powerful than letting other people give you power. That's all I have to say. So here we go. And hopefully I will be back next week for Therapy Thursdays in Chrissy's kitchen. Have a great day and be good.